The topic is grow your investment, some advice and suggestion. So first we talk about some important principle about investment. Now remember the aim and the means are different. Of course, we want to increase our wealth through investment, but our aim is still happiness, quality of life, and retirement. So we try to avoid over-investment. We should invest, but if it's over-investment, then it makes our life miserable as well. Very well. Those who buy a lot cannot. So it depends on individuals. But the most important thing is that check yourself whether you sleep well at night or not. If you can sleep well at night, then you are not under stress. But you don't sleep well at night, this means that you might be over-investing. And if you are over-sensitive, then don't buy shares. Just buy some property and during the very low time. We will talk about this one. But at the same time, we also need to invest. The reason is that how to invest is very important, and when do you invest is also important. So we need to invest, but at the same time, we cannot over-invest. So that is that. Then another thing is that avoid borrowing too much for investment. I is investment. If you borrow too much, once the share price go down or the property price go down, you might get bankrupt. Then your whole life feel miserable. So only buy up to some level that you feel comfortable. So don't buy stock futures. Many people say that they are for hedging. But all this hedging are actually speculations. They speculate under the name of hedging, but in fact they are speculating. So sometimes I'm very much against this type of derivatives, high gearing one. So a third thing is that there are so many products. If there are some products that you are not familiar with, then don't touch it. Only touch those that you feel familiar with. If you are not familiar with shares, then don't buy shares. If you are not familiar with oil or gold, then you don't buy oil or gold and so on. I don't like buying diamond because I am not familiar with it. Of course, it's also the money. Because if you are not in that field, you always buy the wrong things. So then the last principle is that if you buy shares, many people, they don't study the share very well. The only information they have is the share price. So whenever share price go up, they think this share is good share. Whenever share price go down, they think this is a bad share. Because this is the only information, share price. If this is the case, you shouldn't buy shares. What you should do is that study the fundamental of this one. Always choose a low time to buy the shares. Now, whenever everybody is buying up, then you buy. When you turn down, you are the one get hurt, isn't it? So just relying the share price as the only information to buy share is the wrong choice. So that's why I have share investment depends on individuals. Not everybody is suitable for share investment. If you just look at the price, or if you buy a little bit share, cannot sleep well at night, then don't buy shares. And property also, you need to be careful as well. Then there are other investments. My main thing is that if you are not familiar, don't touch. Bonds, now not very good because US will be raising the interest rate. The bond price will go down. Now, if you have a long-term bond, now what is so important? Now, if you have a, say, 30-year bond, when the interest rate drop from 4% to 2%, actually the bond price double. So it's not so much from 4% to 2%. It's the capital gain and loss. But now if the bond interest rate go up from 2% to 4%, this means your bond price will be half. So it's too much. I think now is not a good time to buy bonds. So that one. Gold and diamond. Diamond is very difficult to value unless you are expert on that one. Once I and my wife for the wedding, we go to buy a diamond ring. Then they tell me it's this diamond class. Then later on we check it's a lower class. So we cannot tell. So unless you are expert on that one, it's very difficult to buy. Gold, I like buy oil rather than gold because gold is useless. In a sense is that everybody say that this gold worth that much, then you're worth that much. Then if suddenly everybody say you're worth more, then it's worth more. Then if suddenly everybody say worth less, then you're worth less. So, I don't like to buy something without inherent use. So that's something I don't like. Oil. Once the oil go to $30-something during the global financial tsunami, I was trying to say, hey, can I buy 1,000 barrel oil so that in the future I don't I can hedge for my future. But then they say you have to renew every month, very troublesome. So and highly speculative. So I wouldn't like to do so. Currency again. You need to know two economy. Like you think that sterling is lower. You need to know sterling. You also need to know the other currency, either the US or the Singapore dollar. So it's very troublesome. Stock future, try to avoid that. So in general, I would say all these things are quite complicated. If you are not familiar with, don't touch it. So what I want to focus on is these two, property and share investment. Share investment is more complicated. You have to know the company details, the earning per share, the dividend yield, the net asset value. Later on, I will talk about that. Some of you may be suitable, some of you may not be suitable. Now, property, if everything is so complicated, property is the least complicated one. It's still quite complicated, but I mean, many people experience this one. Then I want to say something. Now, you notice is that most people actually accumulate their wealth from properties. Now, for those who are old, if you buy your property 20 or 30 years ago, now the price will be much higher than now, right? Why? We know the result. My only additional thing is that why? So property investment, I say that it has become a traditional investment wisdom. If you don't know what to buy, don't know buy share, don't know buy gold, don't know buy that, just buy property. So 20 or 30 years later, it will be a different price. Now, if you own some property, you borrow, say, 800,000, you own a 1 million, that one. Now, your debt, $800,000 is fixed, but your property price can go up over the years, right? Actually, if you include the interest rate, you pay more than 800,000. It is almost double if you do 20 years mortgage. But the important thing is that once you have this one, you don't have to work. Who work for you? Inflation will work for you. So every year, Singapore 2 or 3% inflation, then rental will go up 2 or 3%, and property may go up a little bit more, or let's assume 2 or 3%. But for some country, the inflation is higher, then the property price will go up more. So at least you expect 2 or 3%. If you are lucky, sometimes you have 5 to 10%, right? So when suddenly there's a boom. So another thing is that economic growth and innovation will work for you. So inflation will contribute 2 or 3%. Now Singapore may be growing. Now it's not growing fast. In the past, we used to go at 5%. Now it's stable or flat. But then if it's assuming after this slowdown, we have 2 or 3% or even 4% GDP growth, then your property will also rise by this amount. And you don't have to work. You just wait for the innovation to work for you. You just wait for the economic growth to work for you. And urbanization. So then that's why it justified that it become a traditional wisdom. Is that you just buy it, hold it for 20 or 30 years. By the time you retire, it will be a different price. Whether it's HDB flat or condo or landed property, it will still rise. As long as there's no war in Singapore, no disaster or this one, it will rise in this way. If there's war and disaster, everybody have problem, then don't worry, you're not the only one. So property is, people can learn easily. And then that's why, and if you hold it for 10 or 20 years, then you will rise. So the important thing is that don't buy at too high a price. So then another thing is that property has become an important source of retirement in Singapore. Now we all know that our CPF money is not enough for retirement. So in Singapore, we got it as a pay as you earn. The good thing about us, our CPF system is that you can always get back your money. Because this is your saving, the CPF and the government will hold it for you, and then they give you a certain interest rate, you can always get it back. But the trouble is that this CPF is not enough for your retirement purpose. Now in Singapore, how does it work? Surprisingly, is that if you have a flat, whether it's private or HDB, you can downgrade it to a smaller flat, you can get more money on that one. So one way to help us for the retirement is actually property. So you can see how important is it time to buy property. You have to wait. So I have just said that as long as you don't buy at the peak, you will usually earn. Then, of course, you want to choose a time with lower price. Now, not yet the right time. Now, we know that Singapore property price has gone down quite a bit because of the TDS. So what I'm trying to say is that Hong Kong property bubble is very big. So since 2009 up to now, it rise by 190%, which means that 2.9 times of what we have seen a few years ago. So my prediction is that it might burst in 2018 and to 2020. When it drop, it'll drop 60 to 75%. Actually, my inclination is 75%, but in order not to shock people, I write 60 to 75. You might say 75%, is it too much? I can now tell you no. If you look at the collapse after 1997 to 2003, it's 75%. So property, no need to buy now. Wait. That would be a better time. Wait until the government relax all the curbing measure. Then that is the time you can go in. Now, if you have not have a property, then ask yourself, can you wait? If cannot wait, then no choice. Buy a smaller one or queue for HDB. So not everybody is suitable for share investment. So now, one thing is that if you look at this chart, people look at the this is a share price. I can buy high, buy low, and sell high. Then I earn money. So many people think that they are very smart. They will be very smart in buying shares because they look at the chart, I can do that, I can do that. But the trouble is that it already happened. If you look forward, do you know whether it's rise or it fall? It doesn't. You don't. You don't know whether it rise or fall, right? So then how? So this is that assume you look back. So many people overestimate their ability of buying shares. In fact, you ask them, they don't know whether it's going up or going down. So how? One thing we have to admit is that we don't have perfect foresight. We don't know what happened in the future. We don't have perfect information. But we have imperfect information about share price direction. The most important thing is look at the fundamentals of the company. Look at the PE ratios. You need to study the fundamentals, whether this share is good, this share is bad. Some of the technology share, over 100 times share, I will recommend you not to buy unless you know that you will continue for that. So look at the fundamentals now. Why? Usually I'm very conservative. I require 3, especially the dividend yield. What means what? Even though share price go down, I still get 5 or 6% ma. 6% dividend ma. So I sit there 6%, one day it will go up, right? Now if the earning, if the PE ratio is 4 times, if you go to 8 times one day, how much is it? You will double already, right? But if you have 100 times PE ratio, how can you expect it to double? It's very difficult, right? So that's why I say that all these are very important. We will talk about this. And then another thing, so how do you select the share based on the fundamental? So this is micro. The macro is that, is it in a recession, or is it recovery, or is it a crisis or asset inflation? That is me as an economist can tell you.